things. So I can see the enemy flaming in fire for anything that's truth, for anything that reveals what that enemy is. Right in the beginning of Isaiah. But it doesn't and isn't appearing because it's not. In this case, it doesn't look like it because it's not. But there's very many that listen or hear what the Creator has to say. It's just a dead letter, and someone creates their own doctrine using it, harloting it, prostituting his word for its own benefit and gain. Each to its own way, every language to its own way. Every language is the best in its own mind. So if there's 10,000 different ones, each one is the best, and all the others are stupid and foreign and dumb and retarded. And then the other one thinks the same about the others. It really has become this stupid, but it's always been this stupid. It's just that it couldn't be seen in the beginning by anyone. What on earth can someone that's been born even see, let alone not being born? Only pitch blackness and darkness, not able to see its own works if it's not even born. And yet, even if someone is born from above, in the beginning, these things aren't seen. How can they be seen? What on earth can a baby comprehend? And yet it's got to learn and grow and see these things. That's the only way. So this world thinks it's learning and growing, because it comes up with its own definition for what that is, so that it can say that it is learning and growing. It commends itself and is commended by others that do the same thing. And it's actually the circle that people claim his word and truth is. They do. The world does. It sanctifies itself by murdering others and covers itself with the blood of that murder that was shed, and the blood cries out for to be avenged, to be judged, because it does deserve judgment. Cain killing Abel, he does deserve judgment. The life cries out, the life cries out. Life is 180 from death. It hates death. It has nothing to do with death. It cries out against this death, this evil work. And the Father will hear those that believe in him and seek to do his will, but he will not hear, like the whole church world claims, that he'll hear anybody at any time. He accepts people for the way they are, and they twist his word, secretly implying that it's okay to be in sin constantly and forever and never learn and grow. How could they believe that someone has to learn and grow in his truth and that they don't know any of it? That it's like a baby that doesn't know anything in the beginning. How could they really believe that when they don't even believe Messiah is a man, the firstborn of the creation, the first example, the beginning, the head of the body? If they reject the head, how do they have anything else? Where is the body then? What body is it? What head do they have? Well, we read here, there is a congregation, and there's many, just like languages. It's man setting up its own congregations and not submitting to the Creator and following him and becoming his things and his ways, but creating its own that pleases its own flesh and its own desires. And then the congregation commends itself and confirms itself in the circle of self-commending, then it goes out and accuses others, or this, for whatever is being spoken of. You're just speaking of a circle, his word, just you use his word to prove his word, and it's a stupid circle, they say. Well, that's the work I see that people are doing. The very ones that make this accusation have never ceased doing this. How do they have any authority to speak on what they are a hypocrite in every day perfectly? Does it have a clue what it's saying, or is it just sniffing and searching like a dog for crack cocaine, for sin? Just searching for someone else's sins, and people make a lot of money. A lot of them do, for searching for other people's sins to condemn them. And yes, they do condemn them. Their works prove it. They wouldn't be doing that, and they definitely wouldn't be getting paid to do that if they weren't condemning others and seeking to condemn others. They make a lot of money condemning others, sticking the microphone in someone's face and putting a camera on them. They do the evil themselves while they condemn and expose somebody out there that does evil. They're doing the evil themselves. They are the same people. They're going out to prove before heaven and earth that they are, if anything, worse. If anything, the sin is deeper. Definitely no better. Definitely no different. Not set apart. Definitely not doing any good. It goes and proves as a witness to heaven and earth that it is the same person it condemns and tries to expose evilly by condemning them. Messiah condemns no man. So condemnation, even the definition of condemnation for man, is twisted. It has nothing to do with what it really means in man's heart to this world. It needs to change the definition of everything so that it fits its sin in there, so that it justifies that it's sin, so that it doesn't see that it is a sinner itself. It's going to manipulate and form the definition of condemnation into whatever makes itself not a sinner. That's its definition of condemnation and understanding of it. Its own understanding justifies the sin it does. It's going to do that. That's what doctrine is for when it's not the creator's. It's evil doctrine created by man and not given from above. Because the doctrine from above exposes everyone as sinners. It's just going to do that because it's true. And that's not what someone wants to hear and see what they are. No better than a donkey. Like we read, hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth. For Jehovah has spoken. I have nourished and brought up children, and they have rebelled against me. What is this word rebel? Transgress, transgressor, rebelled, revolt, offended, transgression, trespass. To rebel, transgress, revolt, rebelled against. Pasha.
Strong's H6586. Pasha. Pasha.
They have Pasha against him. The ox knows its owner. What is an ox? Ox, bull, head of cattle, for plowing, for food, at sacrifice. Ox, bullock, cow, bull, wall. What's this? And in their self-will, they dig down a wall. Interesting. One time it's translated like that. O my soul, come not thou into their secret, unto their assembly. Mine honor be not thou united, for in their anger they slew a man, and in their self-will they dig down a wall. The ox knows its owner and the donkey its master's crib, but Israel does not know. My people do not consider. So it's got less than a donkey. Alas, sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, brood of evildoers, Messiah spoke these words. Children who are corrupters, they have forsaken Jehovah. They have provoked to anger the Holy One of Israel. They have turned away backward. Why should you be stricken again? You will revolt more and more, old man. Yes, because it's a circle of destruction. It won't do anything, will it, to be in sin? Why should you even be stricken again? You're just going to revolt more and more, we read. The whole head is sick, and the whole heart faints. From the sole of the foot even to the head, there is no soundness in it. But wounds and bruises and putrefying sores, they have not been closed up or bound up or soothed with ointment. Your country is desolate, your cities are burned with fire, strangers devour your land in your presence, and it is desolate, as overthrown by strangers. So the daughter of Zion is left as a booth in a vineyard, and a hut, as a hut in a garden of cucumbers, as a besieged city. Unless Jehovah of hosts, we read also of this somewhere quoted, had left to us very small remnant. Yes, that is true. We would have become like Sodom. We would have been made like Gomorrah. Hear the word of Jehovah, you rulers of Sodom. So what is Sodom? Well, here's proof that Sodom and Gomorrah is not Sodom and Gomorrah. It's something much greater than some literal nation that existed long ago. It's the sin in the heart of Sodom and the sin in the heart of Gomorrah. You rulers of Sodom. What Sodom? There was no Sodom, was there? So now there are rulers of Sodom today. It doesn't matter that there's no literal Sodom, and yet there is. Give ear to the law of our Elohim, you people of Gomorrah. To what purpose is the multitude of your sacrifices to me, says Jehovah? I have had enough of burnt offerings of rams and the fat of fed cattle. I do not delight in the blood of bulls or of lambs or goats. When you come to appear before me, who has required this from your hand, to trample my courts? Bring no more futile sacrifices. Incense is an abomination to me. The new moons, the Sabbaths, and the calling of assemblies. I cannot endure iniquity in the sacred meeting. Your new moons and your appointed feasts my soul hates. They are a trouble to me. I am weary of bearing them. When you spread out your hands, I will hide my eyes from you. Even though you make many prayers, I will not hear. Your hands are full of blood. We'll just hide this verse, though, and all these verses, and never speak on them, right? That's what the world does. We'll just hide what goes against our doctrine and goes against our beliefs. We are partial with his law, like we read that the harlot is partial with his word. That would be to be cherry picking some of it and creating doctrine off of it, leaving the rest behind, and therefore the only result of that will be stupid, foolish contradictions. That's the only way if it goes away from truth. If it goes away from truth, it's already a contradiction and a lie and foolish. Even though you make many prayers, I will not hear them. Well, that's pretty vain. That ends up being vain, empty prayers that won't be heard, won't be answered. Because he hides. Why? Because people hide. Because they hide from him, he will hide from us if we hide from him. It's all one. And Pharaoh's heart will be hardened, and Pharaoh hardens his heart. Why is Pharaoh's heart getting hardened? Because he hardens his heart. Because Jehovah hardens his heart. Because Pharaoh hardens his heart. That's why. Because Adam and Eve hide from the Creator. And then they say, where is he? Where is he? Why is he hiding? Because you're hiding, the Father says. I will hide my eyes from you. Father goes, where are you, Adam? and Adam is hiding. Now it looks like someone's hiding. The image of hiding has been created. So now man can say and accuse someone else of what they just did because the image of hiding has been created. Because someone is hiding, now they can say from their perspective that the Father is hiding and doing the evil that they are doing. No, the Father doesn't do the evil, man does. But the devil creates the same image, points to him and says, you're hiding. It's because man is hiding. Someone runs away from someone, and the one running says, why are you running away from me? You're doing it. This is all the works. This is the works of man. This is the foolishness of it. This is all that's going on. If someone can see some spiritual things, it's pretty shocking how often it's happening. Someone runs away. They run away. And then they look back and turn into a pillar of salt and says, why'd you run away from me? To the other person. What do you mean, why did someone else run away from you? You ran, but the image of running was created. The distance was created. The image of distance and separation was created. Now man thinks he can just blame someone else for what he did. You did it, he says, while he did it. He did it on purpose so that he can cover himself with someone else's blood by accusing and murdering the one that they falsely accuse. Now that blood of the murder done covers the person in their own mind. This is the wicked sacrifice. And it's astonishing. It's astonishing that that's how man's heart believes and works already doing so. Already working like that in this world. That is the carnal man. That's how he works. He does the devil's works, not the creator's sacrifice. He doesn't do the Messiah's sacrifice, the works of the Father. He does the wicked sacrifice that only looks like the true for an image. It's not anything to do with it. It's evil. It's hard to comprehend this thing. It's hard to comprehend how blind someone can go, anyone, self also, and any time for doing evil. Someone will go that stupid and blind. They did it. Now they can blame someone else because now they just made someone else look like, because they can make someone else look like that they did it because they did it. It always works like this somehow. It's astonishing. If someone does evil, all they have to do is accuse someone else of doing it, and it will look like they did it. It will look like it already. And unless someone can see the actual truth, see what really happened, then to the one that sees truth will see that it doesn't look like that. Well, they will see that it does look like that, but they see through it. And therefore, it doesn't look like that. Therefore, not being deceived by the trick and deceiver. Because the one that does this is also deceiving his neighbor and everyone else around him, because he needs others to believe a lie to protect his soul from being spotted as a sinner, and for sin and for self-accountability, he must dump on someone else. Cannot see that self is a sinner. Cannot. Now every other sin can be applied to the same, it's the same picture. It will work the same way as someone running away from the other. Person A runs away from person B. Person A now blames person B for running away from him because the image of running away has been created. Now person A can make it look like person B ran away because it goes blind to his own sin he just did currently. Cannot see what he did because he's God in his heart. He didn't do it. He goes blind and partial. Nope, I didn't do any sin, only others. He remembers other sins for 50 years, for life, but cannot see a sin he did 1 minute ago. Forgets it. Never happened because he forgives himself. This forgiveness doesn't work. It's not forgiveness. It's hiding and covering sin. That's why someone can't see their sins, because they covered it. They don't want to see it. They can't. Man doesn't even want to see that he's covering his sin. He doesn't even want to see the work of not wanting to see the sin. He doesn't want to acknowledge that he covers his sin so that he doesn't see it and deceives his own soul. That's how bad it is. He doesn't want to see the first thing so that the second thing can be seen. There's a work going on first, and it's the work of covering sin so that self doesn't see its own sins. Then the Father punishes that work and allows it to be as a covering. For man's punishment, man goes blind so that it appears the cover is working. He will allow it to work. He will give man what he wants to see if it stands and works. He will give it. Adam is allowed to cover his nakedness. It's a punishment in reality, but it's Adam thinking it's going to work, that it covers he thinks that covers his nakedness, that the Father can't see that Adam is still naked, regardless of a fig leaf covering. He gives us what we want. Then we'll see how this person's doing in a few days, in a few weeks, in a few months. See how that cover is working. Let's see if it works. Let's see how someone's soul is doing. Let's see how their life is doing. Let's see if that covering worked. He allows it to happen. He allows the rebellion to happen. He gives man what man secretly wants in his heart as a punishment. He's never doing any evil. It's man bringing on evil to his own head every second of every day. Every evil that comes on man is because of his own self. That's it. It's never an evil that the Father did at any time. Never. It's what man secretly wants. He secretly wants someone else to be angry at him, to punch him in the face so that he can murder the one that punches him. He's angry if he doesn't get punched and murders Messiah for doing good. And he's angry and murders someone for punching him. He's angry and murders either way. This is man. This is Sodom and Gomorrah. Genesis 13:13. Exceedingly wicked. Wash yourselves. Make yourselves clean. How? His way, not going into a tub and Pilate washing his hands. He's guilty for murdering Messiah. He did it. He can't wash his hands while doing the evil now. This work is being done. Every time sin is being done, this work is being done, where man is doing the image of making himself clean. How? He covers himself. He does the masquerade of the covering the Father gives for repentance, for acknowledging the sin, for repenting and being sorry for the sin. Then the thing comes off because it's forgiven by the Father if someone repents. That's the true covering and forgiveness. Man does his own covering. That looks like the true for an image. That's it. Just looks like it on the outside. It is 180 inside. It is all murder and corruption inside with evil intent, with no intent for someone else's life and no regard for life. No regard for human life. That's right. Yes, that's right. That is accurate. There is no greater truth than what that man said or this man said. That it doesn't get truer than that. No regard for human lives. None. Zero. None. Put away the evil of your doings from before my eyes. Cease to do evil. How? His way. Learn to do good, seek justice, rebuke the oppressor, defend the fatherless, plead for the widow. Why? Because the world never does this. Never. It never does this. It only makes it look like it does this to hide that it doesn't. This is the trick. This is the stupid covering that Adam and Eve do. This is the trick of man and the trick of the devil. To only ever look like it does the true. In every detail, in every word, in every law, in everything. That's the trick. That's the image created. That's very deceitful. If we don't have the truth, it will look very true. And that's all someone can believe then. If they don't have the truth to fight back the lie, if they don't have the Father's word and truth, the sword, to fight that lie. And the fighting doesn't work the way carnal man wants to fight and shed blood. His sword defeats lies by doing good, by speaking truth, receiving truth, and giving truth, and doing good to others is the sword defeating evil. That's what defeats evil. That's what defeats darkness and death. It never was about taking someone's life. That's not what the Father ever did and commanded for Cain to kill Abel. He never commanded that. That command came from self, from the devil. It never came from the Creator. Cain can't bear his punishment. He says so. Why do we read this in Genesis in the beginning? Because this is how sin works for everyone. That's why we're reading it. What's not for Cain. It's not only about Cain. It's for our admonition that man cannot bear the punishment. What happens when someone can't bear the punishment for the sin they do? They got to pour it out. They got to tell someone. They got to blame someone. They have to go out and do that because they can't bear it. Messiah bears the sins of the world, which is an impossible work. And yet it's possible because the Father can do all those works in us. He did the impossible by not trusting in himself, by acknowledging that it's impossible, that he can't do it, by acknowledging that of himself he can do nothing. Messiah said he can do nothing. Was it an excuse so that he doesn't do it? No, it's just the truth that he can't do it. So that he can do it, he acknowledges the truth that he can't do it, so that he does it, because the Father won't give anyone to do any good unless they speak the truth to him and acknowledge the truth. As long as someone is saying they can do it, the Father will give man his own way and let him have it. And it won't work, but he thinks it works, and it gets even more stubborn and more worse. It's worse than a mule. It's worse than a donkey. 20 years later, someone thinks their way is working more than it did 20 years earlier, and it's utterly failing and not working, but he has to believe it's working even more, because the more backward someone gets, the worse this contradiction and condemnation gets. Self-condemned. In a condemned condition because of unbelief, because of zero repentance, zero care, zero will to do the Father's will. Only wanting its own way is the rebellion. That's what the definition of kids rebelling. It's what there is no definition of rebellion without parents. Without kids rebelling a higher authority, that is the definition of rebellion. There's no such thing as rebellion apart from parents. Rebellious kids are rebelling a higher authority that gave carnal life to them. And even that isn't done from man. All man. No, that's one. The Creator is doing all things, and he allows that to be. He does that. He gives. It would be nothing without him. And if he doesn't allow it, it's not happening. Not even that's happening if he doesn't allow it. So this is all given. Even the ability to have a kid is given if it's given. If it's not given, then it won't have. But someone in pride, what is rebellion? Thinking that it did this all on its own. That is the pride and rebellion. Father is working through all the wicked too in his own way, except it's nothing to do with righteousness with them. And yet he is doing everything for all creation, whether it's good or evil for judgment, receiving evil for punishment or good for blessing for doing good. He's doing it all. So he gives many gifts to men. Gifts that a carnal man can see, because he can't see spiritual things. So even the gift of a child is given to so many. He doesn't have to do that, and yet he does give to so many. He doesn't have to allow that, and yet he does allow it for so many. And maybe not every single person, because who knows how he's judging someone. He could judge someone 1,000 different ways for the same exact sin. It looks different on the outside, and then people are offended at what they see, and they think someone is a worse sinner because of such and such. That's what the Pharisees did. They thought that these people were way worse than them. These must be worse sinners because they're this or that. No, unless you repent, Messiah says, you'll die in your sins, no different than anyone else. The way that man's heart thinks of this thing is corrupt utterly and prideful. It's not that someone's worse or better, but that's how man's heart works, through pride, thinking it's better. It finds someone that it thinks is worse. No, the Creator can be judging someone however he sees fit, and man can't see it. So then he tries to figure it out on himself and ends up with abomination and evil. Just ends up with evil and does evil to someone by making up the judgment, making up the reasons that he doesn't actually know and doesn't want to acknowledge he doesn't know. So the lie and delusion is believing something that someone doesn't know. as if it's actually true. But in the heart, someone doesn't know. And then it refuses to acknowledge it doesn't know. That's the rebellion. Come now, let us reason together, says Jehovah. Though your sins are like scarlet, they shall be white as snow. Though they are red like crimson, they shall be as wool. If you are willing and obedient, Messiah would like them to come, but they would not. That's what we read. They would not. They were not willing. Well, so it's got to be. So it's got to be. That's the truth. It's happening, even though the Father is sovereign. It's happening, and that's the hard truth. They are not willing. Whoever is not willing is not willing. Why aren't they willing? Well, they'll blame it on someone else. What happened here? Still going. My screen went black. Shouldn't shut the screen off while it's streaming. I wouldn't think. Maybe I clicked it. I don't know. If you are willing and obedient, you shall eat the good of the land. But if you refuse and rebel, you shall be devoured by the sword. For the mouth of Jehovah has spoken. The sword of his word that pierces the heart, that discerns the thoughts and intentions of the heart, is the devouring of the sword, and it's bloody. No one can pierce someone's heart without blood, so the Father's sword is bloody. How the faithful city has become a harlot. It was full of justice, righteousness lodged in it, but now murderers. Your silver has become dross, your wine mixed with water. Your princes are rebellious and companions of thieves. Everyone loves bribes and follows after rewards. Yes, that's what this world is. Rewards, bribes, free gifts, free gifts, free, bribes and rewards and gifts and free gifts. I wonder why. A gift blinds the eyes of the righteous. The gift is the bribe. The bribe blinds the eyes of the righteous. It's there to blind someone. That's why it's done. It's there to get someone to believe something that someone wants the person to believe. That's a bribe. And it can look a little different, one bribe from another, but a bribe is getting someone to believe or do something that someone wants them to believe or do, using the gift to suck someone in through deception. Every good gift comes from above, so if this gift is coming from beneath, we have to reject it. We can't take it. That's going to be tested, because the Father must test this in his people. That means that the devil will come to try to give us bribes and gifts, and we have to reject them. They're going to come to see whether someone is speaking and doing that truth, because no one's allowed to just talk. Therefore, the Master says, Jehovah of hosts, the mighty one of Israel, I will rid myself of my adversaries and take vengeance on my enemies. I will turn my hand against you and thoroughly purge away your dross and take away all your alloy. I will restore your judges as at the first and your counselors as at the beginning. Afterward, you shall be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. Well, this is the city that of the Father's people in Messiah. There was no such city before, because now a way was made. Because the first city was not the true city. The first Jerusalem was not the true Jerusalem. It was the old Jerusalem and not the new Jerusalem. The new Jerusalem is the Father's righteousness. It is the very spirit and righteousness of the Father's works in his people, in the city. There is no carnal nation. There is no worldly position. It's not recognized. Don't they believe that the Creator is not of this world and Messiah is not of this world? That he was in it and not of it, and that the Father is not of this world? That's why the teaching exists in the world and not of it, because the Father is not of it himself. He's not seen. He's not found by this world. It's not seeking and looking for him. So when it speaks of God, it's speaking of some kind of delusion. It's not speaking of him out of his spirit and things. They would get slaughtered if they spoke the truth before millions. They would get slaughtered if they spoke truth behind a camera. It would be instantly rejected, and people would want to kill that person if they spoke truth in front of everyone. They have to please the crowd and speak a lie and a delusion to the crowd. They have to speak some kind of lie to please the people, to keep their position. They have to do more evil to keep their position. Father's proving that they want only evil and only self-gain. They have to do it every day. They prove that they do it for themselves and not their family and not for anyone else. That's why they say they do it for their family, because they're pouring out the guilt that they do it for themselves and not their family. They cannot do sin and do some kind of good for their family. It's not doing it for its family. It's doing it for itself. It's breaking bad every day. That's why someone speaks the abundance of his heart and says, I do it for my family. He needs to let everyone know the lie to cover the sin that he doesn't do it for his family. He does it for himself. That's why he does it for real. That's his intention. He uses others for his own gain. That's it. The moment someone is not a useful, wicked tool to someone, they're out. They're done. They're just a piece. They're just a tool. Get rid of him. He's garbage. He's done. They prove it every day that a man is just a possession, just a money, just a product bought and sold by the devil. That's what people are to others. The more money is involved, the stronger this truth becomes, the stronger that sin grows, and someone becomes an even greater product. It always was that, but now it's even worse. It's so bad that someone is bought and sold for millions of dollars. They're just the product, just a piece for someone else's gain. They can all look like they're working together because each one is in it for its own, using everyone else for its own gain. This is called humble. This is called working together by this world. It's called a team. That's how that works. Out of pride only. It spits out that it's humble because it's guilty of nothing but pride. That's why it says we're humble. He's humble. He's this, he's that. A humble millionaire. A humble millionaire receiving all that worship every single day from people, millions of people. That's the definition of humble to someone. Pride, greed. It's never enough anyways. 50 million won't be enough. Neither will 100, neither will 500. The people that have $500 million are seeking more every day. It's not enough. They prove it. They prove it every day that it's not enough. By working and seeking more and only working for more. Whatever they have is just an abomination, because now they can't say, well, Jehovah has given me enough. I have enough. No, that's an abomination to a carnal man. He needs to complain and act like he's poor so that he could say that the Creator is doing nothing for them in his heart, so that he can blame someone that he's poor and he doesn't have enough, always complaining like the Israelites always complained in the desert, lusting exceedingly, like we read, exceedingly lustful. Wonder what's going on in that desert. I wonder what's going on with all these people in the desert of this world. I will restore your judges as at the first, and your counselors as at the beginning. Afterward, you shall be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. Zion shall be redeemed with justice, and her penitence with righteousness. Destruction of transgressors and of sinners shall be together. That's what the togetherness of wicked is. Destruction together. That's their team destruction. Those who forsake Jehovah shall be consumed. That's what togetherness is to the wicked. This is how blind. That's how blind man is. His definition of faith and togetherness and humble is to be consumed. It just wants others to be consumed like it's consumed. It wants someone to come into the black hole of its consumption, to consume someone. For they shall be ashamed of the terebinth trees which you have desired, and you shall be embarrassed because of the gardens which you have chosen. For you shall be as a terebinth whose leaf fades, and as a garden that has no water. The strong shall be as tinder, and the work of it as a spark. Both will burn together. Togetherness, and no one shall quench them. Though they try, it can't be quenched once it's burning. The fire of his judgment, the fire of his jealousy can't be quenched. What can man do? to quench this fire. It can't be quenched. It won't be quenched. It needs to complete the judgment. Then the fire can settle down, but it was never quenched. Even though it goes away, it never was quenched. It's settling down for a reason, because it's completed its judgment. It's completed its consuming that it's needing to do. But it wasn't stopped. It wasn't quenched. But when it stops, a false prophet can come in at the right time, try to time it right the best he can, stick his hands out and wave a wand. Here's my wand, a screwdriver. Zap! And just at the right time, the false prophet makes it look like he quenched the fire, but in reality, it just died down because there was nothing more to burn. And the false prophet goes, "See, I have quenched it." But in reality, this is who he is. Broken. No quenching. He just makes it look like it was quenched. That's why we read about false prophets. They do these lying wonders all the time. When they don't have what's real, they have to make it look like they have what's real. That is the rebellion. That is the work of the devil, to only ever do the image of the true and make it look like. And when someone's doing that for that intention, that is nothing but pride and selfishness working for self, so that others see that self is good, amazing, righteous, and true. That is who the devil is, righteous and true. That's what he makes himself out to look and be on purpose. A believer can't be doing any of those works. That's an abomination to the Creator. It's an abomination to try and look like something on purpose. The moment someone's doing that, they're working a delusion. They're working a masquerade. They're believing the lie that they're creating in real time to look like something on purpose. Because there is no heart, there is no spirit to speak out whatever is the truth and do whatever is good out of his spirit. Since it doesn't have any of this, any of the Father in them and his spirit, his works, it has to create what it thinks those words and works look like on the outside so that it's seen as righteous and true. That's who the Pharisees are. Double condemn, because they condemn everyone for anyone not joining their righteousness and their harlotry and the congregation of the wicked, like we read. How many times do we read about the harlot? Harlot. Played the harlot. She is with child by harlotry. So Judah said, "Bring her out and let her be burned." Well, doing this according to the letter is wicked. But that's exactly what his word is. This is what will be done and needs to be done in truth and spirit. Let them be burned. Not man's thinking and his own works of what he thinks being burned is. The Father never commanded to burn someone. That's an abomination, to literally burn someone. It's incredible evil. So now someone can use the Father's word and say they're keeping this, justifying incredible evil. All the works of Hitler could be justified in this one verse. Burn them all. Kill them all. Justified. Bible says so. There it is. Bring her out and let her be burned. And isn't Judah righteous? Well, there's a big problem constantly with those that don't know the Father. There's a constant contradiction. There's a constant problem all the time. If something's a lie, it can be proven it's a lie and a contradiction and evil. Lest you make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land and they play the harlot with their gods and make sacrifice to their gods, and one of them invites you and you eat of his sacrifice. Daughters play the harlot with their gods and make your sons play the harlot with their gods. They shall no more offer their sacrifices to demons after whom they played the harlot. Yes, this is a statute forever for all generations that believe in the Father. Now we have to figure out what this word means by asking him and not trying to make it up on our own. And that's what man doesn't believe in this world, that he doesn't know. He doesn't just know. He's not born with anything. The natural man does not receive of the things of the Spirit of the Father like we read. They have to be given and sought after. A widow or a divorced woman or a defiled woman or a harlot, these he shall not marry, but he shall take a virgin of his own people as wife. What is the title? Division and divorce. What the world cannot believe because it's true. I haven't seen belief. The Father has to prove all these words and things. The world doesn't believe it. He's going to prove it to his people that they don't. Because if they were to hear the word, what all flaming wrath and fire and vengeance comes in people for hearing the truth. Because their life just might be his word. Well, that would be true for everyone. Someone's life is the Father's word for everyone. There's no partiality in him. So then why do these things happen? Are they good? I don't see any good in divisions and divorce. Only wrath, only evil. And if the restraint is let loose, someone might murder someone because of it, like does happen sometimes. Literally murder. There's no good in it. It's a punishment. That's what the world doesn't believe, that it's being punished, that it cannot create and make together whatever it feels like and whatever it wants. No, it can't. And if something is looking like it's together, that's because it's being allowed to look like that. Not even that can happen unless that's allowed by the Almighty. He divides and confuses the languages of the people, like we read in Genesis. Why? Because of their sins. It cannot be that what man does stands without judgment. Let's see if I should be able to find it just by putting in tower. Genesis 11. This is what's going on today, right now. Now the whole earth had one language and one speech. Well, this is teaching something. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said to one another, come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly. They had brick for stone, and they had asphalt for mortar. And they said, come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens. Well, this is the pride of man, pride of the devil, falling from pride. Let us make a name. No, the enemy was not perfect and good from the beginning. Man was not perfect and good from the beginning. That's what someone would like to believe, so that they call all good evil and all evil good and justify all sin by calling the devil good and perfect from the beginning. Can't they see that's what that's doing? Can't someone see that it's justifying all sin to call what's evil good from the beginning and call all evil good and therefore call all good evil? If someone is calling actual evil good, they are calling good evil. They can't do one and not the other here. And if someone is calling good evil, they are calling evil good also, because it can't be done any other way. It's either one or the other. It's either truth or the lie. Both are happening for good or evil, because the good and evil, it's one in this way. Not that good is evil is one with evil, but the moment good is called evil, it's the exact same as evil called good. So that's what they teach. That's all I've ever heard. That's all that people are brought up with, is that the devil was perfect and good from the beginning. Why? Because Messiah teaches the truth, that the same truth that always was true. He's a liar and a murderer from the beginning. But now beginning doesn't mean beginning, does it? It doesn't mean anything now. It means the opposite of beginning. It means end or something, or middle. It doesn't mean beginning anymore the moment someone says that Satan was a perfect angel of light from the beginning. Where on earth did they get that from? Because it's not coming from the Creator. It's not coming from his word. It's coming from some kind of delusion and deception and twisting of his word. Right from the beginning, it's a serpent. Right from the beginning, the devil deceives and only does the works of murder, which is deception. Deceiving someone is murder. It's spilling blood. Now that Eve's blood has been spilled, she needs to spill Adam's blood now. By what? Bribery, gift, offering up a nice package for the intention of destroying Adam. That's what she really wants. And a man can't believe this. Oh, it's strong. A man can't believe this in the world. He can't believe it because the moment he would acknowledge truth, he's very afraid because it's everyone doing this. He can't bear that. He doesn't want to believe the truth. He doesn't want to. He wants to believe the lying image that everything is good and that somebody wants his good and wants to do good for him. Someone that wants to commit literal adultery with him is not wanting good for him. That's a truth. That's a fact. No one that commits adultery can love someone, can want good for them. They want to destroy that person utterly with their own body, with their own soul. They'll use themselves as a wicked sacrifice to destroy themselves further for adultery. To destroy someone else, they will destroy themselves. That's what foolishness looks like and evil looks like. It will go on a killing spree, and if it dies along the way, it makes itself look fearless. But in reality, it's completely in fear. It's in perfect, astonishing fear. It's glowing with fear to be so mad and go out on a killing spree, knowing that you could die anytime because someone's going to shoot them down if they're doing that, right? He could get killed at any moment, and he's willing to die to kill others. That's astonishing fear, and that can't be confused with fearlessness. That's not fearlessness. It's like a horse running to battle with no knowledge and no understanding. It has no clue what it's doing. It doesn't know its head is going to be chopped off. It doesn't really believe it, does it? It can't see or think clearly at all when it's in that much wrath and evil. It can't see anything clearly. It's blind. It goes completely blind. So every time this world talks about war and killing people, it's utterly blind. When they speak of war heroes, they're speaking a strong delusion because it's a vile thing to kill another person, period. There is no justifier. It's an evil thing. And the Creator hates literal bloodshed quite a bit. And there is nothing that justifies it in his sight. But man will try to justify it. He's going to be punished today and tomorrow for doing it. They wouldn't be speaking these delusions if they weren't being punished. That's why they're speaking the delusion. It's why they believe these things, because they're being handed over to their own beliefs. And someone's being destroyed because of it every day. I heard it again today. Just all right. You're just doing all right. You just all right. Why does someone do that? Because they don't want you to be all right. They don't want that for anyone. They're already implying you're a liar, whether someone's lying or not. This is what they are doing. They're already implying a lie, that you're a liar, period. That's what they are doing when they do that. They need to make you look like crap to make themselves look good. That's why someone says, you're only doing good, you're only doing all right. You're only calling good evil and evil good. Has anyone ever said that back to the enemy? You only call evil good and good evil? Isn't that what someone just did with their heart and proved it utterly, that they believe all right is wicked? Maybe we should say we're doing horribly. Well, yeah, those days happen, and we can't be hiding the truth in creating some stupid image of always doing amazing. Look at my life. It's so amazing because it's hiding all its destruction. No, there is both in the truth. There is good, joy. There's also the other side and sorrow. We read about both. Both will happen in a believer's life. But now when the world says this, what do they mean by it? Why on earth do they do this to others? Do they like that done back to them? Would they like it if someone said, how are you doing? And they said, okay, all right. Only all right? Only okay? Only all right, huh? Huh, not good? No, wait, what do you mean not good? If I said good, you would say only good, only good. It doesn't matter what someone says. If I say okay, all right, or good, you're going to say only okay, only all right, only good. What do they want? What do they want? What do you want? Miserable, horrible, like me. I don't want anyone to do good. Miserable, horrible. Oh, good, good. Yeah, I like that. I like seeing misery and horrible in others. That's what I want to see. That's why I say only good, only all right, because I'm in misery and I want you to be in misery. Isn't that why they do it? Nope, they can't see their own thoughts and intentions. Why? Because they go blind. They want to cover it. It's not that it can't be seen. It's that man doesn't want to see it and he goes blind and therefore can't acknowledge it. Therefore, he can't see it. He covers it up. What would someone do? They would be trapped because that's the truth. They want to see evil. They want others to suffer. They want to see someone suffering. Now they can act like they're your buddy when they think you're suffering and when they think they see sin. Someone rejoices in their heart when they think they see sin, someone else sin. I've seen it too many times. It's pretty bad to see this because it's not different anywhere. It doesn't matter what city someone lives in. It's all the same. Man's heart is the same corruption. It's not different. All those images and languages just try to hide the truth that it's all one and the same. It's the same evil that the whole world's doing, that everyone is. It's the same. It's not different. The image is there to make someone think that something is different or amazing or whatever. This race, this restaurant, this culture, all of it, just a giant image. It's the same man. It doesn't matter what it looks like. They do the same things too. In a different language, they say, oh, just all right, only good. It doesn't matter what language it is. It's the same sin happening in the heart constantly. Now we have a problem here. And they said, come, let us build ourselves a city. What's man doing constantly? He's constantly building a city. Is it about a literal city? Well, it sounds like it. No, it's not, though. It's not. And yet this is true anyways. What is he doing? What is he doing constantly? Always building, always in unrest, smoking. Got to change it. Got to change it every 5 minutes. Got to build something new. To break it down so we can build it up. So someone wants to break you down, break me down so that they can fix me and repair you. They want to find something broken so that they can repair it. I wonder what their condition is if they're doing this to others. Would they like that? Would they like someone to do that to them? No, they wouldn't, would they? No one would like that done to them. Oh, you're broken. I'm going to fix you. They wouldn't like hearing that, would they? And yet that's what someone goes and does to others, right? They want to break you down. They want to murder you, break you to your knees, and then build you up. I'll cut your roses down. I'll cut your grapevines down to a stub. Hopefully they die and don't come back. Both of these things were done around this yard around here in the secret place without warning. 2 out of 6, 7, whatever, however many there are, never came back. Cutting them down all the way to a stub killed a couple of them. The grapevines came back, but now so skinny compared to what it was after however long they've been there. Someone wants to cut you down. The devil wants to cut down, and then he offers, I'll replant. No, I'll rebuild for you. Don't take it. The moment someone takes that bribe, that thing, that's why they cut it down, so that they can get in your life and control you. The moment we allow the enemy to replant something, it's theirs. Now they own you. They own your soul in a twisted way like this, and it's actually working. Father allows this evil to be done. It works, and yet it doesn't work, and yet it's all delusion. But as a punishment, someone is handed over to someone's control, and they can't escape their grip. There's a lion. There's a king amongst lions in every group. Lion king in every group, somewhere. He just needs to be spotted. Which one is it? There's got to be a leader somewhere. There's got to be a lion king. Where is he? Where's the lion? Where's the king? Kill the king. Long live the king. Kill the king. Long live the king. I don't know which one. I'm confused. There's only one king. There's no king on earth. There's no man that's a king and a god in his own mind. But these things are allowed to be for man to see how it works. Let's see how these kings do. Israel wants a king to rule over them. So everybody has a king that they follow, whether they believe it or not. Whether it's the true or the false, everyone's got a king that rules over them. Either Jehovah is their king, or some man on earth somewhere is their king. Everyone's got someone above them, don't they? It's how this world works. It's how the pyramid scheme works. It blames all the things that it receives at the top, goes all the way to the bottom, to the masses, and the masses hate the top, and the top hates the bottom, and the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Well, this is the Egypt that it's always been. It's never been anything different. It's pretty astonishing and disappointing to find that out, but it's the truth. It's never been anything different. It's always been like this. It's always been Egypt. It's always been oppressors that want to control people and put his people in slavery and make them work hard for no wages. And now you got to build the bricks too and do the same amount of work you did before. No extra wages. And we'll whip you and we'll whip your back. There it goes again. We'll whip you and destroy you some more in total wrath. That's why we're doing this to you, because we're utterly destroyed ourselves. The soldier is utterly destroyed, like they show in movies, whipping someone, beating someone, because they're already so destroyed. Otherwise, they wouldn't do that to someone else. It's not what it looks like. And yet somehow a perfect judgment's going on to all people. Somehow a perfect judgment is being completed through the evil. There's a reason someone's whipping someone. There's some kind of judgment going on there from above. That's the very thing the world can't believe, is that Father is the judge of the earth, and he's not an unrighteous judge. He's judging the secret intentions and thoughts of people's heart. The wages of sin is death. Who's to say it's not now? That's what man doesn't want to believe, is that the wages of sin is death. Now Jehovah came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. Why did they do it? Let us make a name. This is the thing that matters, his name, the number of his name, his image. What is his name? What's the number of his name? The beast, man. Let's make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth. Is that why they're really doing it? No, they're in delusion. They're not doing righteousness. Because they do this in rebellion, thinking because we do this, we won't be scattered over the earth. The Father will make sure that they are scattered abroad over all the face of the whole earth. If they obeyed him, this would not be so. If they just acknowledged the truth and denied themselves. But no, since they say, we want to do our own thing, we build it to not be scattered, now they guaranteed that they're going to be scattered. So now the Father scatters them, because they said in rebellion and pride, we will not be scattered, lest we be scattered over the face of the whole earth. Now the Father's going to scatter them all for saying we won't be scattered in pride, in rebellion. So how could it be that they actually wanted this? They didn't want the truth. They just did the image of it. They didn't want this. If they wanted not to be scattered for real, according to what that means in heaven, then they would obey the Creator and they would be blessed and not scattered. But because they did the devil's work and their own work, and then claimed they do it so that they're not scattered, liars, now they're going to be scattered. And that work, that judgment, proves that they never wanted the true good thing of not being scattered. Because why? Because they're scattered. Proves they never wanted it. The Father doesn't bless sin and curse good. Now they were scattered. Jehovah said, indeed, the people are one. What oneness? It's not good. This is evil. This is the evil oneness, the fake oneness. This is the oneness the world speaks of all the time. They want rebellion and sin to be one. They want to rebel against the king of the earth. They want sin and rebellious cities to be one in sin and bring together evil and be set apart in evil. They can't mix evil and good. And they have all one language. So what's the Father do? And this is what they began to do. Now, nothing that they purpose to do will be withheld from them. Well, that's not good. That's sin to the Creator. Come, let us go down in there and confuse their language. Wait, I thought they are one. I thought they're all one and have one language and will not be scattered. We're not going to be scattered over all the earth. We're all one. And that they may not understand one another's speech. That's why two people argue and fight in this world. They don't understand each other. It's happening right now as I speak. There's somebody divided and fighting and arguing and complaining and fighting each other over their name and image, one trying to stump the other. One is better and more right than the other. They don't understand one another's speech because they speak different languages spiritually. So Jehovah scattered them abroad from there over the face of all the earth, and they ceased building the city. They actually stopped because they were stopped. He doesn't allow sin to stand, he punishes it. Therefore, its name is called Babel, which is confusion, because there Jehovah confused the language of all the earth. And from there, Jehovah scattered them abroad over the face of all the earth. Scattered. They got scattered for not wanting to be scattered, proving they never wanted not to be scattered in truth, in good. Once the scattering happens, that's proof that there was sin amongst the group and people there. It's already over. Otherwise, they wouldn't be scattered if their heart desired not to be divided and scattered. Division, divorce, and scattering is proof of sin that already happened. It's over. It's already proof. It's already a judgment and a work that happened for sin and rebellion. Whatever the sin and rebellion is, it's for sin and rebellion, and then it's divided and scattered because of sin and rebellion. Then man says in his sin guilt, I don't want division. I didn't want divorce. Yes, you did. If you didn't want it, you would do good and you wouldn't be divorced and divided, world. Yes, you did want it. It's already proven you wanted it. You are divided. You wanted division. If you didn't want it, you would seek the Creator and be one and not have division. You wanted it, Adam, the Father says. You wanted it, Eve, he says, constantly, and nobody listens. Nobody hears. Adam and Eve is judged anyways. They can't say now they didn't want to do sin. I didn't want to kill that guy dead with a bullet in the head. I didn't want to kill him. I'm not a murderer. Yes, you did want to kill him. You wanted to. That's what you can't admit and acknowledge, Adam. You did it already, proving you wanted to. If you didn't want to, you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't put a bullet in someone's head if you didn't want to. Nobody forced your hand. None. No one forced your hand. But now the wicked man gets trapped, doesn't he? He feels trapped, so he blames others around him in the job, in the evil, in the pit of hell and Gehenna and condemnation in this world. He blames someone and says he's forced. Why? Because he's trapped. The Father's proving that the man is wicked and that every word he says about how righteous he is a lie, and the works prove it. If you don't want to do that, well, now it's going to require self-sacrifice. Let's see if you want to sacrifice yourself, or if you really don't want to do what you do there. No, I had to do it, man. Otherwise, what? Something would happen to me. That's right. That's a test. That's a test, 7 billion something people on earth for everyone. That's what comes on everyone. That proves whether that person is a liar or not about what they say about themselves secretly and to others. I don't want to do this. I'm not this person. Let's see what the works say for what someone is. That's what's going to show what tree someone is, what it does. How can't the whole world see that this is what proves what someone is and what they do, what they want, what they are? Unreal. It's hard to comprehend. It's difficult to comprehend how bad this is constantly. Nobody believes in the works. None. Not even one. Not even one is righteous. No, not one. And by his mercy, there's a few, like we read in Isaiah. If it weren't for his mercy, for very few, like we read, very few, we would all have become like Sodom and Gomorrah. And yet all his truth is true. Regardless, there is a way to do good, and that's what man doesn't want to see. He doesn't want to repent. He's going to accuse the Creator and his way of being wicked and condemnation when he's not condemning. He's not doing that work. It's the person accusing that's condemning. It's the person setting up a cover and a guarding himself from the way so that he can make an excuse to continue in his way and sin. He sets up something so that it's an excuse in his own heart to continue his sin and justify it. He sets that up all himself. No one forced him. No one forced anyone. No one forced someone to sign the paper and pull the trigger. And yet he's got to blame someone else for it. Why? Yeah, other people did evil to him. Too bad. That doesn't count for anything. No one's still, if you don't want to do it, then you won't do it. What happens to you now shouldn't matter. You don't want to do it, carnal man, don't do it. What happens to you now shouldn't matter. There's got to be a pressure. There's got to be a pressure to test everyone. Testing is pressure. If someone doesn't want to do something, they won't do it. If they already did it, and you see someone saying, I don't want to do that, and they already did it, they're liars. Run from them. They're liars. They have nothing to do and no good thoughts for you or anyone else around them. They're liars in judgment, in destruction, looking to destroy someone because they're deceived destroyers and now need to go and destroy others because they're destroyed and deceived. Now they need to deceive and destroy others because they're deceived and destroyed. It can only do to others what it is itself and the condition it's in itself. It doesn't want to repent. So be it, then that's what it is, but this is what it's going to do to others. It's not looking for anyone's life. It's looking to seek and devour and destroy. It's searching to do so every day, to destroy someone. That's the only work the devil can do, is kill, steal, and destroy. That's the only actual intention, hidden behind a deceptive image, hiding that intention by selling the opposite image of that intention to make it look like it's not doing that. It sells the opposite image that covers those intentions. That's it. That's the trick. That's the only way a man can hide, and it's not hiding, but that's how he hides. That's how he thinks he hides against the Almighty. Well, they don't believe that he sees everyone as though everything is naked. Even the grave, even Sheol is naked. Even the underground is naked before him. He sees everything. There's no cover that's working. Father is judging someone according to their nakedness and not their cover. He's judging someone according to what their sin and what they do. And if it's sin, it's judged according to that sin, not their cover and their excuses, which is a cover also. Excuses are a cover to cover the sin. It's to cover that it did sin. It's making an excuse in its heart to justify the actual sin, which is a cover also. So when someone says, well, I did it because of this. Well, that has to be looked at with discernment, because this world, all it's doing is making excuses. So it just covered itself. It does not believe it actually did the sin according to its work and sin when it already did. It doesn't believe it's doing the sin because it just provided the excuse and cover for it. That's what man's heart's doing all the time. He's covering himself. Because Peter says, I will never deny you, and he says it out of pride. You would think those are good words. Yeah, but they have to be learned to be done in truth without any pride and rebellion of self-working. Self-working is the sin that the world can't see and doesn't want to see. Because Peter had pride in this, now he will deny Messiah. period. And so will we if we do it, and already did. When whatever sin is done in pride, now it's coming back. What you say you don't want to do, if that's not true in the heart, apart from pride, in humility, in truth, in being sincere, working through him only. If it's not that good thing and it's pride speaking, Peter will deny Messiah, period. He's going to go blind at some point in his life. Could be a day later, could be 2, 3, 4, could be weeks later, could be a month later, could be a year later. And it's going to be proven to Peter. What's proven? That you didn't actually want that. You don't know what that is yet because you denied him. If you didn't want to deny him, you wouldn't. But is he condemned? No, not in the Father's way. He's not condemned. But he has to learn in the Father's way. He's not condemned, but he's got to repent for that sin. A believer's got to repent for the sin they do. They're not condemned, and yet they're judged according to their works. We're judged according to whatever we do, even in his way, with no partiality. Well, that's a lot to fear because he will judge us according to our works and what we do. There's something to fear because if we murder someone, literally, it will be judged as literal bloodshed and literal murder, no different than Hitler will come down on a believer for murdering someone, which is a frightening thought. Because how could that be for a believer? How could this be? They would be destroyed. Someone would be destroyed if they did that literal work. So we have that truth, and there's also a confidence that the Creator will get his people through, and that, they wouldn't do such a thing like this. That just would utterly be destruction, and it's game over. Because that can't be believed either by a believer, that we won't make it, because that's calling the Father a liar, because it's not our own works and strength to make it, to overcome everything. That's on him. We're supposed to believe that he'll do it, and if we don't believe that, now it's a sin. What a fine line, what a constant narrow way in everything, every aspect of every word, of every law, of every detail. It's like this. If it's not like that in someone's mind about a certain thing, that just means there's more to see. That means that there's more to see that someone doesn't see. And whatever it's not like that for whatever in my mind for something, that means there's more to see. That would be true for everyone. Because I'm finding out it is like that for everything. It's that narrow and fine. One step to the left, it's wrong. One step to the right, it's wrong. It's literally perfect, and anything less than perfect is wrong. That's what sin is anything less than perfect. Be perfect. That's the command, as your heavenly Father is perfect. And yet there is now no more condemnation. But believers can't be doing the same works and making the same excuses that the world does for their sins. They got to acknowledge them and repent. Or else Messiah is coming to take the lampstand away from them and make it darkness. That's what he says. Does the congregation want to hear that? Does anybody want to hear that? Who would want to hear those hard words? I'm going to take the lampstand from you if you don't repent. No partiality. Smoking. This world is smoking. Their language was confused. And once that happens, they don't understand each other. And once that happens, they divide. What do they do now? They try to find someone that has its own language, not searching for the true language, not searching for the Father's language and word, the spiritual Hebrew, not searching for the true language, but looking for others, looking to find its own language in others, the similar language. It's self-seeking. It's seeking its own ways, all of self. It's not seeking the Creator's things. It's seeking to find others that have its own language already. Even the language someone has, they didn't determine. It's just that's what the Father gave them along the way. That's what someone picked up, and now they stay like a rock, hardened and never change. Now that's their language. It's a dog that doesn't learn new tricks. That's why that's said, because it's true. It's talking about itself and hypocrisy. It's an old dog that doesn't learn any new tricks. Tricks? We're not supposed to be tricking anyone out of some kind of evil. Deceivers, tricksters. Someone's language is just whatever that's what they were given. Someone's given Chinese, someone's given something else. Now they're looking for others that speak its own language. It's self-seeking. It has nothing to do with seeking the Creator. Zero. So put away that thing, put away self's things, dump it all, give it up, acknowledge it's all a delusion and wicked, and seek the Creator's things and His language, His congregation, His body and heavenly body that already exists. It's already there. It's already who He is. We have to join it, join Him, and not make up our own stupid things. One language versus another. Someone doesn't understand. How could someone be so stupid? Because they have a slightly different language than that person on that one thing. Now that's going to divide someone if it's a deal breaker, if it's big enough in someone's mind. You know, you do have to make a few small exceptions because, man, is it divided and different. But there can't be very many big ones or any big ones in there, or else they're going to be divided and find someone until the big ones are the same. And then maybe not divide over the very, very smallest couple things, you know. We can agree to disagree, to use each other for our own benefit. And when the time comes, I'll betray you quickly, like Judas does all the disciples and Messiah. You know, that test will also come. It could come at any time for someone. Who knows when it would come or how it comes. We're not the judge or the creator of the heavens and earth. He does put that test on people, and boom, they scatter. That proves something. It's already over. What did it prove now? The division proved sin. What kind of sin? Well, whatever sin it was, but it proved sin. It proved evil works being done, because if it wasn't so, it wouldn't be divided. And how could Messiah be divided? How could his people be divided? How is Messiah divided? The Apostle Paul says he's not truly, but people are acting like it and claiming the truth as its own thing, taking his word and making it its own things become the truth. And now it looks like it's divided because it's its own thing. That's not Messiah. That's not Messiah over here or over there, this denomination divided against another. That's not, Messiah's not divided. What does that mean? It means that they don't know him. They're not of him, because Messiah is not divided, period. His people don't divide. That doesn't mean that there won't be any sin or mistakes or evil done. It's still true that his people are not divided. It needs to be seen, it needs to be corrected, it needs to be repented of, and that causes the opposite of division, oneness. The true unity is through acknowledging truth and the lack of sin, and acknowledging it if it does happen, and not blaming someone else, because it's going to be divided if it's blaming for someone else. It's going to be, boom, divided by the Creator if it's never acknowledged, because that's sin. But he forgives for acknowledging, and he will keep together for acknowledging. Acknowledge one's fault to another. We don't need to not do that. That would be the devil's way. Do not acknowledge one's fault to another. That's the devil's work. That's man's self-work. He already wants to do and does naturally. That's all he's ever been, is not wanting to acknowledge that, but only cover it. Adam goes, I acknowledge everything, while he's got a covering for all his nakedness. Yeah, right. Get real, Adam. Get real, Eve. You don't acknowledge anything. You got a covering on while you say that. You would be naked if you were speaking the truth. You would speak out that you're a sinner and no good, and you would acknowledge your faults one to another if that was true. Adam can't say that in truth. Now it's going to be tested whether Adam is true or not. That pressure is going to come on someone to see if what he said is true. Every word is being proven right now. Every generation, for every stinky carnal flesh man that ever lived, that all are, that flesh needs to die. It's being proven who and what they are. The problem is that pride stays with someone in unrepentance the rest of someone's life. They die in a delusion. That's the truth. It's a frightening thought. They die thinking they were the most righteous, most best person ever in the world, and they died with 10 million pounds of sin that never was forgiven. They never learned a single good work a day in their life is the reality. They never done a single good work of love at any time. Only the image of it, which is the devil's work and covering of self, hiding of self. Over and over in his word, it's there. The more is given to someone, the more they will see it in his word, that it's been there all along, that it was us that couldn't see. It wasn't the creator that was evil or doing any evil, it was self that couldn't see. It's been there all along, been there from the beginning. Scattered abroad all over. Well, this is the reality we already live in. Scattered all over the face of the earth, divisions. Now the sin is spreading again after the flood. Now it's growing again, and the same thing and the same problems over and over. Well, this can't be so for believers now. No more of the same thing over and over, the same circle of destruction and death, the same sins over and over again. It's got to be different for his people. All of it, the heart of it is man and sin, even for the judgment, flood, and everything. So they cover it up. Somehow, some way in someone's heart, they find a way to cover it up so that man is not the one to blame. Somebody else is out there besides self. That's the cover. Maybe it's evolution for someone. Maybe it's something different for someone else. Evolution covers up all sin, covers up the creator himself, which covers up all his truth, which covers up all sin, covers up the creator himself. He's not actually covered. And yet there's a cover of blinding, a veil that man puts before his own eyes. He doesn't want to see. He wants to be blind. The veil that we read about, the blinding. When they look at his word, they see a veil only through Moses. They see the law and every word through that veil, through that darkness. They don't actually see. They're looking at his word through a veil. There's nothing to see on the other side because they still have the veil over their eyes. They need to have that veil removed to start seeing who the creator really is and what his word is really meaning. Otherwise, as long as it's self-seeking and self-understanding of it, it's going to be a lie. That's what's given. It's going to be a delusion, a lie. It's not going to have anything to do with truth. And that's going to be someone's punishment, is that someone's filled up with only lies and never gets the actual truth because they wanted their own things. They need to not want their own things. And if someone has no truth in them, it's because they still want only their own things, because they're still working in self-righteousness, and that's it. Still wanting self's things to be right and things that man does of self to make himself righteous. This is what a wicked man does. It doesn't matter how many people he's killed. He kicks down those doors in the saloon and fear me, I'm God. I'm a murderer. I just got done killing someone. I'm righteous. He thinks he's righteous for real. He thinks he's God's messenger killing people, and he's in a delusion, and in a way he is. He's a Nimrod. He's a mighty hunter before Jehovah in a delusion. The Father's using him because he uses others and murders others. Now he's going to be deceived and used by the Creator for a punishment. Yeah, you are. You're going to believe you're God's messenger for real as a punishment when you have nothing to do with the Creator. He's not commanding you to kill anyone. That's a great delusion that someone's in. The more evil is done, the greater delusion that someone receives. PTSD is delusion. It's punishment for murder. There is no justifier. Someone has to admit they murdered someone for any hope of healing. That they killed someone on purpose and wanted to from their heart because they already did it. They can't use the world's justifiers set up in place. They'll never be healed like that. Never. It's not possible. Father will not bless lies and sin and justifiers for it. That means that the person never acknowledges that they wanted to kill someone. If you didn't want to kill someone, like earlier, screaming, then you wouldn't have done it. In the mountains, it echoes. You wouldn't have done it. You did it already. You can't believe you did it. I know, Cain, you can't bear your sin. It goes out somewhere to someone else. You can't bear it. You can't look at yourself. Self can't look at self. Believer needs to look at self. That's all the difference right there. An unbeliever never looks at self. Believer must look at self. If self never looks at self, that's not a believer. How could it be? Oh, it's a horror to see self. Yeah, it's a nightmare. Too bad. That's the only answer I've ever gotten back. Too bad. There's no other way. Go through the nightmare of seeing self. That's it. Overcome it. Make no excuses. Can't make excuses with him. Have to see what self really is. And Father won't show too much at once because no one could bear it. He gives a little bit by little, whatever he knows that someone can bear. But see, in sin and unbelief, there is no bearing other people's sins, self sin. First of all, no bearing self sins. Cannot bear it. And it cannot bear other people's sins, meaning if someone sins, the carnal man goes in wrath and has to do evil back. That's what it looks like to not bear sin. Messiah bears other people's sins. So now we have to do the same. Have to bear other people's sins and take them on our shoulders like he did. The church world does the exact opposite, and it teaches the opposite, and they pour out their folly like someone told me, and even say astonishing things. That blood, that murder, that covers them so that they never have to do good. That evil they just did covers them. It's insanity. Messiah died for what? So that someone can sin? No, on the contrary, an exact opposite. I don't know if it's still recording when my screen goes black, but I know I didn't click anything. I don't know why it's timing out. I don't remember it doing that. So I'm seeing what it looks like to not bear sin, because if someone does sin to us, it's going to put a pressure on someone's soul. It's just the way I can only explain it in words. Someone's life within them. If it's not bared, it needs to bounce off. What does that look like? It's to do evil. Let the burden go. It's to, stick a knife in their gut. But the moment you do it, you go in greater delusion. It's such a deceitful trick of the devil. The moment that murder comes with the knife, you are judged for that murder now. Now you got to bear that murder. And how? You can't. Now you got to go do more evil. Now you got to do more evil. This is the world we live in. Now it's got to do more evil. Every time it does evil, there's a pressure on it. How does the wicked sleep at night? Doing more evil before it goes to sleep. How does it sleep the next night? Doing more evil. Eventually, it's finally destroyed at the end of its life. Some 90 years, some 30. Some slow and gradual and painful with loads of many sins. Some quick, rapid destruction, and they're dead at 30. That's the truth. They go into beast mode quicker. They self-destruct quicker. Why? I don't know. Why some at 90? Why some at 30? Both are happening. That he can judge in all kinds of different ways. And in ways, it's worse that someone lives longer. In its own way, it's worse than dying at 30, and there's something better about dying at 30 than it is to live till 90. Each one has its pros and cons, and it's all balanced out somehow. And now someone needs to pick one of the sides when it's not working like that. Someone only wants to see what they want to see. and they see some fault in someone else and they only look at that. The other person sees a fault on the other person and they only look at that. When both sides have a point and they both blame each other and they divide because they don't speak truth, they both blame each other. It's not one or the other. It's both having points that are true, but it just points the finger and blames, and the other does the same, and then there's causes division. This causes murder. Murder causes division. That's how it goes. There's a judgment already working every day right now, whether someone sees it or not. That's what a believer is learning, is whatever we don't even see, it's already working. It's already happening regardless of what. Too bad that we don't see the Creator. Doesn't care. It doesn't matter. He's righteous. He's doing it already. We do have to learn it and see it, but he's already doing the righteous thing, regardless of no one believing in him and seeing his works and seeing that he's good and true and righteous. He's already doing it. He's already the example, living it first before anyone else. He's already bearing the stake. He's already bearing people's sins constantly. He bared with Israel for 2,000 years of carnality and is still doing it to this day. That doesn't mean he's not judging them. It just means that he's bearing their sins. He's not doing evil that man does to others. He doesn't do that. That's a lot to bear. That's a lot of pressure and weight. So Messiah bears the sins of the people. So much violence and evil is done to him, and he doesn't do evil back. That's called love. That's bearing other people's sins and not returning the evil for evil. To walking away with pressure, loads of other people's sins. See, look, carrying bags of flour. That was someone else's sin. Now you make me carry it. I carry it for you by not murdering you. And then you say that Messiah is a wicked blasphemer and a murderer. He just carried 100 pounds of your sin and walked away from you doing no evil. Well, yeah, that's murder, they say. That's what murder is to this world. Good. Love is murder to the devil. That was murder to the devil, because that light, that love, exposed that it never does this. Expose that work that it never does this. It flames up in wrath that it's been spotted by someone doing actual good. Now it wants to murder the one that did good because it got exposed by the light of the Father's good works that someone did. That's how it works. It's a light that exposes darkness. That specific work exposes specific darkness in others around them if that's what they are doing. It just does. When someone doesn't lust in their heart and do that wicked work of lust and adultery, that's exposing anyone around them that's still doing that and has done that and continues to do that. It's exposing that they do that. It's also saying that it's possible not to when the light shines. That's light is only good. It must be good in order to be light, and it must be light in order to be good if the light is shining. That means actual good was done and not evil. That means the lack of adultery was done, which is love and not lust. The devil's love is just lust. That's it. Just screwing people. That's all that the devil's love is. The more it screws people, the more love it has. It's literally what the world is, and it's what it sings about. It's literally that stupid and carnal and evil. The more it screws and murders and adulterates with us and commits adultery with others, the more love it has. The more loving it is. Evil. Unbelievable masquerade. Love to it is lust, and lust is love. That's how backwards man is. All the works are being done every day to see whether this is true or not. These words can't be said, just said in vain and empty, nothingness. It can be proven and seen whether these words are true, because the works can be seen like an apple is seen on a tree. It can be seen. Now, if someone has eyes to see and isn't blinding themselves on purpose and not wanting to see, not seeing, then they won't see it because they're blind. They don't want to see it. And it's there anyways. The tree is still there, even though a man has a blindfold. It doesn't mean the tree's not there. It just means it's not there to him because he's blind. Still there. Creator is still here. The Creator's existing. Too bad, world. He's still here. He's still judging everyone. Because you don't want to see it doesn't mean it's not happening. It's happening. World don't believe it's happening. He's the judge of all the earth. We probably could just open up to a random page and maybe read about his judgments. Well, we read about trespassing against Jehovah Elohim. He gave them up to desolation, as you see now. Do not be stiff-necked. Well, there's a judgment right there where I landed already. He gave them up to desolation. That's a judgment. Now, do not be stiff-necked as your fathers were, but yield yourselves to Jehovah and enter his sanctuary, which he has sanctified forever, and serve Jehovah your Elohim, that the fierceness of his wrath may turn away from you. For if you return to Jehovah, your brethren and your children will be treated with compassion by those who lead them captive, so that they may come back to this land. For Jehovah your Elohim is gracious and merciful, and will not turn his face from you if you return to him. So the runners passed from city to city through the country of Ephraim and Manasseh as far as Zebulun, but they laughed at them and mocked them. Nevertheless, some from Asher, Manasseh, and Zebulun humbled themselves and came to Jerusalem. Also the hand of Elohim was on the Judah to give them singleness of heart to obey the command of the king and the leaders at the word of Jehovah. You must continue in the things which you have learned and have been assured of, knowing from whom you have learned them, and from childhood you have known the holy scriptures, which are able to make you wise for salvation. Well, the devil has something else to make someone wise with, his own way, through faith, which is in Messiah Yehoshua. For all scripture is given by inspiration of Elohim and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of Elohim may be complete, thoroughly equipped for every good work. Preach the word, be ready in season and out of season. Convince, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and teaching, for the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but according to their own desires, because they have itching ears, they will heap up for themselves teachers, and they will turn their ears away from the truth and be turned aside to fables. But you be watchful in all things and endure afflictions. That's holding on. That's bearing, rather, as Messiah did. Afflictions. Endure. That's a hard work. Endure afflictions. Because if they're not bare, that means we're pouring it out. That means that same evil that was done to us will be done to someone else. It will transfer. The exact same evil will transfer onto someone else, and then we'll be punished for doing that. Endure afflictions, do the work of an evangelist, fulfill your ministry. Now at the end, he's saying that he's finished the race. He's kept the faith, ready to be poured out as a drink offering. Where is the ball going to land? Where's the ping pong ball going to land? What's the lottery pick? Oh, But as you speak the things which are proper for sound doctrine, that the older men be sober, reverent, temperate, sound in faith, in love, in patience. The older women likewise, that they be reverent in behavior, not slanderers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things. That they admonish the young women to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, homemakers, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of Elohim may not be blasphemed. Exhort likewise the young men to be sober-minded in all things, showing yourself to be a pattern of good works and sound in doctrine, showing integrity, reverence, and corruptibility. Sound speech that cannot be condemned, that one who is an opponent may be ashamed, having nothing evil to say of you. Exhort bondservants to be obedient to their masters and to be well-pleasing in all things, not answering back, not pilfering, but showing all good fidelity, that they may adorn the doctrine of Elohim, our Savior, in all things. For the grace of Elohim that brings salvation has appeared to all men, teaching us that denying ungodliness and worldly lust, we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in the present age, looking for the blessed hope and glorious appearing of our great Elohim and Savior, Yehoshua Messiah, who gave himself for us that he might redeem us from every lawless deed, and purify for himself his own special people, zealous for good works. Speak these things, exhort and rebuke with all authority, let no one despise you. That doesn't mean people won't do the work of despising to someone, and yet there's a way to receive that and still not let them despise you, because they would like to destroy. They would like you to stop. They would like you to cease from doing good. That would be letting someone despise us, is fulfilling their will, their intention, that what they really want. They're not going to stop doing that. They're not going to stop doing evil to Messiah, but he didn't allow anyone to despise him. He kept that word. He kept going anyways, despite someone despising him. That's on them. That's on their part, their sin. Now we have to not let someone else's sin stop us. Subject to rulers and authorities. That's not gonna go well for many. Speak evil of no one. Be peaceable, gentle, showing all humility to all men. We ourselves were also once foolish, disobedient, deceived, serving various lusts and pleasures, living in malice and envy and hateful, hating one another. When the kindness and the love of Elohim, our Savior, toward man appeared, not by works of righteousness which we have done, but according to his mercy he saved us through the washing of regeneration and renewing of the Holy Spirit, whom he poured out on us abundantly through Yehoshua Messiah, our Savior, that having been justified by his grace, we should become heirs according to the hope of age abiding life. This is a faithful saying, and these things I want you to affirm constantly, that those who have believed in Elohim should be careful to maintain good works. These things are good and profitable to men. Avoid foolish disputes, genealogies, contentions, and strivings about the law, for they are unprofitable and useless. Reject the device of man after the first and second admonition, knowing that such a person is warped and sinning, being self-condemned. I think that might be it for now. It's not just a one-time acceptance of some truth like division and any form of division. It goes on. It's still true. He's still doing it. It goes on for a believer, the truth that the Father is still judging. It's not a one-time acceptance of it only. still goes on, still needs to be believed constantly. Anyone that's not believing it at all will just continue to do evil and have no fear. And yet they are in fear every day. That's why evil is done, out of fear. That can be tested. So when there's pressure from the world, someone does evil to self, to someone else, there's going to be a pressure. Fear is doing evil back because it doesn't believe or trust in the Creator, that He's the judge, that He will protect someone that believes in Him from someone else's murder, that the sheep are sent out to be slaughtered. And that has to be proved that they believe by getting slaughtered a lot. That He can raise them and keep them from death, and raise them He can raise the dead. He can keep the sheep from others' murder, from killing them. Killed and yet not killed. It's like we read, killed all the day long. How could this be so and not be dead still? That's what it takes to believe in Him. That's going to need to be proven. The true fear and cowardness is doing evil back. Cain is doing a cowardly work in great fear because he has no set apart fear for the Creator, His judgments, or fear for doing evil, but he has cowardly fear. That's why he kills Abel, because he's fearful coward that someone's going to kill him first, that he needs to protect himself. Why? Because he's in fear. Protecting self is proof, isn't it? It's not proof to anyone in this world. It's not proof. They don't believe this. They don't believe these things. I don't see it. That's true for self. If any kind of evil is done back, that wasn't the perfect good work. That was some kind of fear that needs to be destroyed. Some kind of cowardly fear that needs to be destroyed. That was a lack of trust in the Creator. That was a lack of faith to do evil back. Any evil. So being perfectly fearless while perfectly fearful is Messiah. Doing all that good in the midst of all that evil is proving that he's not a coward, because he has the Father's strength in him. And now that strength has to be perfected in everyone that believes. Nevertheless, that's the teaching, that's the truth. We can't give a mixed truth. Can't give the halfway delusion, mixed good and evil. We have to get the perfect thing is the truth. It doesn't mean that it's being put on someone to be perfect instantly because it sounds like it. That has to be discerned whether that someone's doing that or not. It doesn't automatically mean that. You can't say that, oh, it's okay to kill and murder something. No, the perfect truth is that means someone did not have the right perfect trust at all, or faith, if evil is done back. That's true for everyone. That's true for myself. That's happened many times. The perfect truth is only spoken, and then it needs to be grown until it's perfected in that truth, until that word is literally perfect in someone. Can't give the doctrine like false prophets do according to what their heart is currently, according to the lust of the evil that someone wants to do. Can't give the doctrine to match the corrupt heart. Have to give the truth, which is perfect always. It's always perfect. That's the standard, perfect, nothing less than perfect. The moment it's not perfect, it's a lie. It's already twisted, it's some kind of lie. It's mixed, and if it's mixed, it's the devil's doctrine. Never creating anything, only taking what's true and mixing it and twisting it and perverting it. Can't create anything. Man never created anything. This world is a product of truth being mixed up over millions of times over and creating its own doctrine according to its own heart. Some mixed up version a little different than another mixed up version. One language a little different than another. 50 million ways, like the insanity of confusion and division. Thousands of different ways to say the exact same thing. What is that? Thousands of different ways to say, look, there's a tree in front of me. And nobody can understand the simple thing because it's a different language saying all the same exact thing. Then everyone fights over which one is right. What's he saying? Kill him. He's not speaking truth. He doesn't speak our language, kill him. And the other says, no, kill him. And now we all work in cowardly fear. Whoever kills the other first can protect themselves. You got to do evil back out of cowardly fear. People in the street that are raging, man, you sense the destruction, sense people's destruction. They're in wrath every second of every day, and people think that no judgment is going on. Someone deserves to be tortured in fire forever and ever, because they don't see any judgment. They don't want to see it. They don't see it on themselves. Therefore, they don't see it on others. They don't see what's really happening. That person's flaming up in wrath every day. Leave him alone. He's being judged. He doesn't need to be tortured by some wicked man forever now because the person can't see the Creator's judgment on everyone. That has to be overcome too. Seeing his judgments. The more it's seen and believed, the less evil we do. Evil is also done out of seeing no judgments and believing in no judgments. It's taking matters into our own hands because there's no belief that the Father's a righteous judge that will judge them according to that work. It doesn't believe that. It desperate, and for all the other reasons that the evil has to be done, the bearing of the sin, all these things are true at once. It doesn't believe. So it needs to see the judgment. It needs to be God itself and do the judgment. And the Father allows this to be done, and it's a delusion. And even what man does is part of his judgment somehow. No one tricks him. Even man doing the evil that he shouldn't do is part of the judgment from above for someone else. After the Assyrians are punished, now that someone's going to come to punish the Assyrians for punishing the other nation and doing evil, because it's all evil. That's the confusion and contradiction that man is left to be in by the Creator. That is his judgment. It is stupid. It has to be. It's supposed to be. It's not supposed to make sense. So if someone's trying to make sense out of the evil and judgments that they're looking at and not understanding, they're already doing wrong by trying to make sense out of it. It doesn't make sense. It's supposed to not make sense. It is literal contradictions nonstop because it's a punishment. Only in truth there's no contradictions. Only in truth there's blessing. Only in truth does it make sense. All for itself, all one, not stupid, not contradicting. Only in truth. Not outside of the truth. It's supposed to be stupid and foolish. The wisdom, the best that the world has to offer is foolishness to the Creator. It has to be. He made it to be. It says he made it to be. He did. That can be proven now. Of course the world won't believe this. Of course the leaders of the courtrooms and righteous judges of the world won't. Of course they won't believe it. They won't believe anything. That's true. It's why they have that position. They have replaced the Creator. Let them be suffering so long for evil. Let them have patience for evil all day long, looking for it and seeking it. They don't help a single person out in truth, but yet they got to do their job. Everyone's got a job. They die completely unfulfilled, to the max, to the brim, unfulfilled, totally meaningless, worthless life. And they know it in their soul when they die. It was utter vanity and worthlessness. That's how it's got to be. That's a punishment. What good did it do? All the people it supposedly helped are also sinners in destruction, wasting away in sin. What good did it do by granting $1,000 to someone? And yet it's got to be this way. It's got to be this way. Someone's got to do the job, of the devil. It's got to be that way. Someone's got to be princes and kings and lesser kings of all these kingdoms. Someone's got to work these wretched kingdoms. Someone's got to be a Herod and work these miserable kingdoms and work their self-righteousness and shine through doing evil. That's the devil. Shine by doing evil to others and doing and exposing others out of evil is what makes someone shine in their mind. Pilate shines because, well, he's good. He washed his hands. He's righteous now because he washed his hands. He can't forgive himself. It doesn't work. Washing hands won't do anything. He's doing it out of sin guilt, man. Someone can see it's being driven out of guilt, murder, guilt for murdering Messiah. That's authorizing it. You can't authorize it and now say you're clean. You did it. Pilate's guilty. That's why he's washing his hands. That's why it's being done. Because he's guilty in his heart. He's literally guilty and filled up with wrath and fear and guilt and doesn't know what to do. So he washes his hands, thinking that's going to make him clean, and tries to take comfort the best he can in that washing of hands, in that vain ritual that does not cleanse him of his sin, that does not justify him. He will not be justified by the Creator. He will die in that sin. It will haunt him the rest of his days. That's a promise. That's a guarantee from above, unless he repents. There is no coming off. There is no sin coming off of Pilate. It's going to haunt him, and it's going to haunt him more. Every day it's going to be worse than the last. Even if it's a little bit worse, it's going to add up. It's going to be a lot worse 10 years later than it ever was with that one sin. One sin alone. It's going to be worse, let alone all the other sins that are done every day. It's a lot of sin being added up. It's a lot of sin not to bear. It's a lot of sin being dumped onto someone else and then dumped on someone else. It's like a hot potato. The whole world's playing hot potato. Not me, not me. And then it blows up. And then there's potato everywhere. Everyone gets potato anyways on their face for thinking they can throw it away. The father puts a big potato in their face and stuffs it in their mouth. Here, have a potato. That's what you get for trying to get rid of it. I won't allow you to get rid of it. For trying to get rid of it, you will be choked by it. You will get filled up with it. I'll fill you up with potato, he says. That's what he'll do. Yeah, that's pretty stupid. That's pretty stupid of man. The Father makes a fool out of everyone. And not out of evil, but that's a righteous punishment and judgment. Why can't the world do good? Lament and mourn. Lamentation. She has none to comfort her. All her friends have dealt treacherously with her. They have become her enemies. Judah has gone into captivity. Affliction and hard servitude. Dwells among the nations and finds no rest. The bird finds no rest, no rest. Finally, there's a little bit of green, a little bit of life, and it finds rest and doesn't come back. It's a good sign. It's not what someone thinks again. It doesn't look good. It's never what someone thinks first. Whatever that first thing was a lie. It doesn't come back. Oh, that's a selfish thing. For wanting it to come back. That means the thing has that means the person has no rest if it comes back. They found rest now, and now that's evil to someone. They found a little bit of greenery. Now it's envious. Her priests sigh. Her virgins are afflicted, and she's in bitterness. Her gates are desolate. Yes, this is the this is the sadness and the sorrow and everything happening within. All the invisible things are happening here. Find no pasture. They flee without strength before the pursuer. Jerusalem has sinned gravely. She has become vile. All who honored her despise her because they have seen her nakedness. Yet she sighs and turns away. Her uncleanness is in her skirts. She did not consider her destiny. Therefore her collapse was awesome. She had no comforter. Yet, O Jehovah, behold my affliction, for the enemy is exalted. They all sigh, all her people sigh. They seek bread. They have given their valuables for food to restore life. See, O Jehovah, and consider, for I am scorned. Sorrow upon sorrow for the carnal man. And if someone wants to run from sorrow, period, they're in a delusion. There is no running from it, because the narrow way is also going to have its own sorrow. There is no running from it. The more someone tries to run from it, the more of the sorrow that they think they can run from will be their reality and will be in more sorrow for trying to escape it. It's like that potato again. For trying to throw that potato away, it's going to be shoved down their throat and eat potato. I don't want potato. Eat it, says the Father. You have to eat it. Eat the judgment. That's how it is. Now who believes he's good? After all that, man, this is an evil creator, man. He's evil. What an unfair, unrighteous, wicked creator. The world would have to say, wouldn't they, if they heard this? They will say his ways are not fair. Life is not fair when it's actually your ways that we read that are not fair. Where is that? Where is this not fair stuff going on? Yeah, Ezekiel, when a righteous man turns from his righteousness and commits iniquity and does not according to all the abominations that the wicked man does, shall he live? So then the other way for those that turn from their sin, they will live, and those that go into sin, they will die. Yet you say, the way of the master is not fair. Hear now, O house of Israel, is it not my way which is fair, and your way which is not fair? So they will say, his way is not fair. It's evil. It's actually man's way that's not fair. There's the one verse that speaks on it about fair, and the Creator's way not fair. It's not seen as fair. How could the one that worked for only an hour receive the same wages as the one that worked for the whole day? How unfair. No one ever believed they were backwards, did they? Cast away all your transgressions which you have committed, and get yourselves a new heart and a new spirit. For why should you die, O house of Israel? For I have no pleasure in the death of the one who dies, says Master Jehovah. Therefore turn and live. It will be for someone's own destruction to not want to turn and live, because the only other way is death. If it's not life, it's death. If it's not light, it's darkness. If it's not truth, it's a lie. If it's not righteous judgment, it's unrighteous judgment. If it's not fair, it's unfair. If it's not unfair, it's fair. Everything backwards. All right, that's going to be it, I guess, for now. Peace, take care, seek truth from above.